Joe Rogan Podcast, check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
Welcome back to the Joe Rogan Experience. Today, we're talking soft skills, the kind of stuff that makes or breaks leaders. And who better to explore that than Andrew Tate, businessman, speaker, and no stranger to controversy. Welcome, Andrew.
Good to be here, Joe. Let's dive into the real skills no one talks about enough.
Let's start with presentation skills. You've got presence, man. But what's really behind an effective presentation for you?
Presentation isn't just talking loud, it's strategy. The layout, visuals, even font choices, they all matter. I used to just wing it with charisma, but after bombing a high-stakes pitch once, I realized charisma without clarity is noise.
So what changed?
I started breaking things down. From our lectures, things like layout consistency, font readability, and using one idea per slide, those changed my entire approach. I now make sure every visual supports the message, and I use greens and blues for background. Mellow, not overwhelming.
What about the speaking part?
That's huge. Eye contact, calm tone, independence from the script, that builds trust. I rehearse. I time myself, 1 minute per slide max. I even recorded myself once to check pacing and tone. Harsh, but useful.
Was it tough for you to slow down?
Yeah, I had to fight the instinct to dominate the room. Now I aim to connect, not just impress. That shift took work, but the impact, worth it.
Let's switch to something you've had your fair share of, conflict management. What's your personal journey been like?
I used to go full forcing mode. Win the argument, end of story, but it burned bridges. What I learned? Conflict isn't about winning. It's about resolving.
So you don't just knock out the problem.
Ha 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 ha, not anymore. I started using the strategies we covered, like collaborating and compromising. One example, a teammate deleted my contribution to a project. I was furious, but instead of blowing up, I asked why. Turns out they didn't think it fit the tone. We talked, we merged ideas. We ended up with something better than both of our drafts.
That's growth, man.
Totally. I now teach my team to start with listening, then move to collaboration, the win-win model. And if things get stuck, we use techniques like brain writing, anonymous input so no one feels shut down.
What about avoiding or accommodating?
Avoiding just delays the explosion. Accommodating? Useful sometimes, but only if it doesn't become self-sacrifice. You've got to know when to push, when to yield, and when to create new paths.
So how did you get here, man? This self-awareness isn't what people usually associate with you.
Fair point. I had to face that I wasn't always effective, just loud. That realization pushed me to study, reflect, and change. Now, I do a post-mortem after every conflict and every presentation.
What's next for you?
Looking ahead, I've got a few things lined up to keep sharpening these skills. I'm going to start reviewing every major presentation I give, not just to see what went well, but to break down what I can refine, whether it's tone, timing, or how I use visuals. I'm also setting up a regular habit of writing down any conflict I deal with, the situation, how I handled it, and how I could have approached it better. That reflection helps me catch patterns before they become problems. I plan to ask my team for anonymous feedback every couple of months, so I'm not stuck in my own perspective. And something new I want to try is using VR tech to simulate high-pressure speaking scenarios, practice handling tough questions, or managing my delivery when things get tense. Finally, I'll keep journaling short reflections at the end of each week to track how I'm growing, what worked, what didn't, and what I'll do differently next time. That's how I'll keep moving forward, with structure, not guesswork.
Dude, that's serious commitment.
Soft skills aren't soft. They're scalable influence. Master them, and you run the room. Fail them, and the room runs you.
You heard it here first. Influence, growth, and real self-awareness. Andrew, thanks for keeping it honest.
Always a pleasure, Joe.
Bye, everybody.